After Maria fell into a coma, time for Oleg seemed to fracture. Days blurred into nights, nights into endless waiting. Work became mechanical, cars repaired, bolts tightened, engines checked. Yet his mind remained in the hospital corridor, with Maria lying silent, and the children staring with quiet, fragile hope. At home, the apartment felt emptier. The walls seemed to whisper worries he tried to ignore. He would sit in the kitchen, staring at the cold cup of coffee, scrolling through social media, watching other lives, families enjoying vacations, people smiling over dinners, children playing freely. It was a mixture of longing and self-reproach. He developed a habit, or perhaps a crutch, escaping reality, scrolling, wasting hours, avoiding the weight pressing on him. He told himself he was seeking inspiration, ideas. Truth was, he was running from fear, fear of losing Maria, fear of failing his children, fear of not being enough. One night, Oleg admitted to himself, "I'm not doing anything. I'm just afraid." That night, he smoked more than usual. The cigarette burned, smoke curling, as if it could take away the anxiety lodged deep in his chest. Relief was temporary, the habit holding him back. The next day, Oleg decided to take a small step. Not a giant leap, just small, actionable steps. Even something as simple as reading an article, making a note, or calling a potential client felt monumental. He began reading stories of ordinary people who transformed their lives. People like him. He watched videos, took notes in a worn notebook. Some strategies worked, some failed. He tried, failed, and tried again. Even failures became lessons. Each small victory, each tiny improvement reinforced his determination. Progress was slow. Errors occurred. Customers complained. Payments delayed. At times, he felt the weight crushing him again, but each small success, a client impressed, a minor payment earned, became monumental. Oleg began fighting his habits. One less cigarette, one meal not skipped, one night of proper sleep. He journaled, planned, reflected. Failures analyzed. Successes celebrated. Each day, he chipped away at distractions that had once consumed him. Children noticed the change. Andriy asked, "Dad, are you going to be okay?" Oleg smiled faintly. "I'm working on it, son, I promise." Sofika held his hand more firmly, sensing hope. Her small presence reminded him why every effort mattered. At home, life remained tense. Maria still unconscious, children quiet, sometimes sad, but a spark of something new had appeared. The inner demons, fear, procrastination, self-doubt remained. But Oleg recognized them, faced them, controlled them. No longer invisible, they were now challenges to overcome, not forces that ruled him. Hospital visits continued, reminding him of urgency. Evenings spent planning, mornings working, nights at Maria's bedside. It was exhausting, draining, and yet empowering. Each step forward, however small, became a lifeline. Moments of despair persisted. Smoking, scrolling, hiding seemed easier. But looking at his children, Maria's hope, he rose again, day by day, step by step, painful, slow, steady. The process became as much about endurance as about skill. Finally, tangible results appeared. A small sum earned independently, enough to make a difference, proof that action, even in tiny increments, worked. Oleg realized the first step, starting, facing fear, facing himself, was hardest. He had done it. With each success, confidence grew, dreams grounded in action, in hope. He was far from full transformation. Many battles remained, habits to break, skills to sharpen, mistakes to overcome. But the foundation was laid, the path forward visible. He fought for his family and for himself. For the first time in months, he felt alive. For the first time, he believed he could endure what life demanded. The first time Oleg earned a meaningful sum independently, it was almost surreal. A neighbor had asked for his help fixing an old car, not for the money, but for trust in Oleg's hands. Oleg agreed, Hours passed in meticulous work, hands greasy, muscles aching. By evening, the car ran smoother than it had in years, payment in cash, small but tangible. He stared at the money, almost afraid to touch it. It was proof that he could still act, that he could make a difference. For a fleeting moment, hope flickered inside him. At home, he counted the bills carefully. The children watched curiously. "What is it, Dad?" Andrei asked. Oleg smiled softly. "It's a start," he replied, "but reality hit soon enough. Other projects failed. Clients disappeared without payment. Mistakes he never anticipated cost him money." One evening, after a frustrating failure, Oleg sat in silence. The children played quietly in another room, Maria unconscious, and he felt the weight of responsibility pressing harder than ever. "Even when I try, it's not enough," he muttered. Yet amidst the failures there were lessons. Every mistake, every lost opportunity, became a teacher. He took meticulous notes, reflected, analyzed, and adjusted. Slowly he learned. Slowly he grew. He discovered the power of focus. Small steps, repeated consistently, produced results. Even minor improvements in efficiency brought hope. Oleg confronted habits that threatened progress. Cigarettes, procrastination, self-indulgence. All were distractions. He fought them consciously now. Each small victory reinforced belief that he could change. Late nights at the kitchen table became his new routine. Pens scratching notes, spreadsheets, phone calls, researching ways to maximize income. It was exhausting, but energizing. He began to see connections between effort and results that had once seemed invisible. Every action mattered. Every choice had consequences. The first significant payment went straight to Maria's hospital. It bought time. Time to plan, time to hope, time to act. Seeing Maria's progress, even small signs, ignited hope. The flicker of possibility. He allowed himself to imagine maybe she could recover fully. Maybe their life could return to something close to normal. Unexpected expenses arose, repairs, school costs, bills. Oleg felt stretched thinner than ever, but rather than despairing, he learned to prioritize. He balanced small victories against necessities, making careful choices, calculating every step. He began waking earlier, working longer, thinking constantly. Some projects succeeded, some failed were heavy. Successes built momentum. Each small triumph boosted confidence, showing him that perseverance mattered more than luck. Internal changes followed. Patience, focus, resolve. He no longer allowed fear to dominate his actions. The children noticed. Sofika laughed softly. Andrei helped where he could. The atmosphere, once tense and heavy, began to feel lighter. The hospital remained a stark reminder of urgency. Every day Maria stayed unconscious. Every day bills piled higher, fueled Oleg's determination. He worked for survival, love, some nights. He reflected how far he had come from fear and inaction, from endless scrolling, avoidance and self-doubt. The first money earned independently was more than currency. It was proof that action, persistence, focus mattered. Proof that he could fight. Proof that he could survive. Slowly things changed. Financial situation stabilized enough to breathe. Maria showed slight improvement. Children's smiles returned more fully. Oleg realized something fundamental. Change was possible. Progress was possible. Life could be improved, even from the brink of despair. From the ashes of fear, doubt, and helplessness, Oleg built something stronger, a foundation for resilience, determination, and eventual triumph. For the first time in months, he felt capable of facing the next challenge, whatever it might be. He no longer feared the failures, because he had learned that they were necessary. They were part of the process, part of becoming stronger, and in that realization he found quiet peace.